Welcome to DFS Karma, where we talk about our favorite fantasy sports plays for football, basketball, baseball, and pretty much everything else. Be sure to check out and create an account with all of our partners, such as MonkeyKnifeFight.online, PrizePicks.online, and StatHero.online. Use the promo code KARMA on any of these sites to get an exclusive deposit bonus. And don't forget to check out all of our free fantasy content on DFSKarma.com, as well as our own premium plays. Without further ado, let's get the show on the road. Please welcome today's hosts.
What is up, everybody? Welcome into the first Game Theory NFL podcast of the season. I'm joined by Sam and Bales. You can see their Twitter handles right below their faces if you're watching on YouTube. Guys, it's week one. We have a ton to talk about. I've been waiting all week to talk about this. I have takes to fire off. I know both of you do as well. There's a ton of action on FanDuel, DraftKings, our sponsor site, SuperDraft as well. Some really good tournaments out there. So I'm really excited for this week. Obviously, I know you guys are too. I'm also really excited that Anthony's not on this podcast to talk about nonsense for 40 minutes before we can actually give some takes off. So, we can. Yeah, he'd already be talking about the Browns if he was on here, 100%. But we are going to get right into things. We're going to start, as always, we're going to go game by game here, talk about the 4 or 5 best games of the weekend. Then we'll talk some cash plays, tournament plays, and then maybe give some bold calls before we head out. First game we're going to talk about is the Falcons and Seahawks over-under of 49. This is definitely the best game of the weekend, in my opinion, on the main slate anyways. Sam, I'm going to start with you because I know you love Russell Wilson. So where are you looking in this game?
I mean, Bales can just jump in whenever I say something that's wrong, but Russell Wilson is the best quarterback in the league. I just don't understand.
Okay. We're gonna stop you right there, pal.
Okay. No, I mean it's just funny. I don't know. I think this is such an interesting spot because I think a lot of these obvious plays, it's not hard to figure out that Julio Jones is a really good play every single time, but I just think, I like that it's a weird one because since the first game of the year, no preseason, it's not middle of the season where the Seahawks are traveling from the West Coast to the East Coast to play a different game. But I think it should be a pretty good shootout. And, in the fact that the Falcons D is just so bad. I just don't see a scenario in which, Matt Ryan last year had the second most dropbacks of any quarterback behind James Winston. So I think we're going to see a lot of the same. I mean, maybe I'm stealing Bales' thunder here, but I know Julio's great, Ridley's great, but Hayden Hurst, dude. I mean, that dude could just eat all day. I mean, the Seahawks, I wouldn't really say their coverage is that great. I don't really have any interest in Gurley, not only this week but never. And I know that the Seahawks are very run heavy, and I'm interested to see if they change that. But I think that the Falcons can actually keep up with them in this game. Just because their offense is so high powered. So I really like targeting, the Lockett, who should play in the slot, DK, obviously. I don't know the tight end situation. Maybe you guys can provide more clarity on that. I'm not really sure how I want to deal with that. I mean, the Seahawks in general swap around tight ends so often. So I don't know if I want to go there, but I think there are so many good pieces in this game that I think you can't really go wrong with the top receivers and both quarterbacks, honestly.
Bales?
Yeah, I think you're right. 2 things I'll say is I'm going to wait and see most likely if DJ Dallas is active. If he's active, I'm probably not going to touch Carson. I'm worried about Hyde stealing carries from him. I feel like the 3 of them could all see the field. If Dallas is inactive, I'm more likely to play Carson, but I probably won't go there. Sam pretty much outlined it. You're going to take either quarterback, top 4 receivers, and then Hayden Hurst. Those are really the go-to guys. But I will add that if you're a Gurley person, you probably want to play him early in the season. It's just he's probably going to feel his best now before actually taking a bunch of hits. When it's a few games down the line, he's probably not going to play nearly as many snaps. So if you're in on Todd Gurley, this is actually probably one of the better weeks to use him. I just really can't imagine paying he's right at 200 cheaper than Miles Sanders. Like, I would just go to Sanders.
I mean, do you guys know? I mean, Ben, you can also jump in. I'm sure you have maybe some other takes too. But I mean, like, who is the starting tight end for the number one? Is it Disley? I mean, is it now? What's his name?
I'd say it's Greg Olsen.
It is Greg Olsen. Okay. I mean, Greg Olsen. I never know if he's like actually healthy, if he's just kind of being a hard ass and just kind of playing through like 7 injuries. Like, I have no idea. But I feel like the Seahawks all tradition at least. I mean, like, they swap in and out their running backs. They swap their tight ends a lot. And Russ, I mean, what do you guys think about the fact? I know this seems probably like a fish move, but I feel like playing Russ without receivers seems ridiculous. But I feel like when he throws, he spreads the ball a good amount. So I feel like if you're playing with Russ, I mean, Matt Ryan, I would, because Julio just commands so many targets and he's uncoverable. But Russ, I'm curious if maybe the contrarian route is Russ will be popular, but not stacking it and maybe just running it back with receivers from the Falcons and hoping Russ just kind of sprays the targets, across DK and Olsen and Tyler Lockett.
Yeah,
personally, I think.
Go ahead, Bill.
Go ahead. I think if you're doing that, can you play Russ naked? Yeah, you can. He's that good. But if he's really going to have the blow up game that's going to win it for you, he's probably going to be really, really efficient. So then the chances that either Tyler Lockett or DK Metcalf also go off are really high. Plus, call me crazy. I know it hasn't really happened that much before, but I do think that Metcalf is going to really be the target hog this year, and I think that Tyler Lockett is going to be a clear cut too. I think there will be targets for the three, but I feel pretty comfortable stacking either Lockett or Metcalf with Wilson basically on a weekly basis.
Yeah, so this is like the clear game stack game for me. I like a lot of spots in this game, obviously. So Atlanta is missing just under 100 targets from last season. So obviously, there's going to be more balls to go around. Hurst is going to pick up some of that. Seattle they were bottom 5 in fantasy points allowed to tight ends last season. So they did get beat by tight ends quite often. So I do think that's an interesting spot. I think this is just a smash spot for Julio at home, and I don't think he's going to be super popular. I think a lot of people are going to focus on, obviously, Michael Thomas, and then Devontae Adams. I think it's going to pick up a lot of ownership as well. So I really like Julio in tournaments. I think Ridley and DK are probably the cash game plays from this game for me, which makes me like Lockett a lot in tournaments. Obviously, both quarterbacks are fine in tournaments as well, but I think that was an interesting point, Bales, on DJ Dallas. I do expect him to be active, and this goes along with the whole Miles Sanders thing. So this report came out today that Doug Peterson said, he might want to manage the load for Sanders on Sunday because he's missed some time in camp. I expect a large number of these players to get rotated in for this week. This is basically like the first preseason game because they haven't played any games yet. There's not been a lot of tackling going on in camp. So I won't be shocked if Dallas is active. And I think that you don't really need to worry about it for Sanders because I think it's going to be a lot of players. There's going to be very few players that command the general workload that we would expect from them from last year. But this is just such a good game. I think that DK is going to be chalky, I think, on DK where he's under 6K. So I think that's why I like Lockett more in tournaments. But it's a really good game. I don't know if there's really any lower owned plays from this game for me. I'm avoiding the rushing games, so I'm just going to go with the passing games. Sam's with me on team #never Gurley, but there's no shot I'm playing Todd Gurley.
Dust, dude. So dust.
Yeah, I don't trust that at all. But you guys will have to wait and see if any of these players make our core plays. If you're interested in picking up a package, you can head to dfskarma.com. This is actually the last day, so it'll be over by the time you watch this podcast. But there is a promo code out there. If you DM the Twitter account, might be able to hook you up with a deal. But we've been doing really well with core plays for all sports. Anthony, a couple weeks ago, went back-to-back weekends with $100,000 wins with our core plays given out to subscribers, baseball and golf. Football is one of my better sports personally, so I'm really excited for that. So check out a package for that at the site. We're going to move on to the New Orleans Saints and the Tampa Bay Buccaneers over under of 49. I'm a little bit scared, guys, because I think this is a really interesting game. Obviously, high total. Two offenses that you should expect to be in play weekly, but I just don't have a ton of exposure to this game outside of tournaments. Like for cash, I don't know if I'm going to end up with anybody from this game. It's a little bit worrisome to me, but I'll probably just go overweight and get some tournament shares here. But Bales, I'll start with you for this game.
Yeah, I mean it seems obvious. Like you know where you're going in this game. You can use either quarterback. It doesn't really matter. Alvin Kamara obviously looks like they're going to work out a deal. I don't really have any problems with him. And then Michael Thomas is the obvious option. I think Jared Cook and Emmanuel Sanders are secondary options for New Orleans. I feel like you're fine running a one-off with them, but they're not really super high on my list or anything. I think a lot of Tampa Bay comes down to Mike Evans. He has a soft tissue injury. It's generally very annoying and sometimes keeps you out for a couple of games. Depends on how he handles it. And it looks like Arian said this is going to be a true game time decision. So it's going to be rough come game day if they don't really say if he's playing or not. Because if he's out, Godwin is probably just going to see a ton of targets. I worry about Lattimore on him, but it doesn't really bother me that much, truthfully, assuming Evans is out. If Evans plays, both of them can be considered, but with that type of injury, it's really difficult to trust that Evans is going to get through the whole game. I don't like Rob Gronkowski. I don't think he's going to be good this year. I just don't think that he's that good anymore.
What?
I know Sam's all over him. He could catch some touchdowns. I get it. I get it, especially if Evans is out. Truth be told, though, 4,900 is a bit expensive for me. I'd rather go elsewhere at tight end. And I guess Fournette's the lead guy. I don't know, but I'm not touching this backfield until we at least get a little bit of clarity of what's about to happen.
Yeah, Sam, before you jump in, I just want to say, normally I go through injuries at the beginning of these games, but there's a lot less injuries with it being week one. Mike Evans is a big one. So Mike Evans and Miles Sanders are really the two big injuries that we're monitoring as of now. More could pop up after this podcast is posted. So be sure to stay tuned in Discord, follow us on Twitter, stuff like that. Obviously read our content, which will address that. But that's really the two we're monitoring right now. It's funny, though. So people are all freaked out about this limiting Miles Sanders thing, but no one seems to be worried about Kamara having a shot in his back a week and a half ago? I don't know if it really will affect him. I just think it's funny that no one really cares about that, but they're worried that Miles Sanders, who practiced, fine today, might be limited.
Yeah, I mean, my only thing I will say, I mean, obviously, I love Gronk just as a football player. He's just fun to watch. But, I do agree with Bales in the respect that, I think you're probably relying a lot on his red zone targets and him catching a touchdown, which I know that sounds counterintuitive. Obviously, my guys catch touchdowns. But, I don't see Gronk. Yeah, I mean, he's older. He hasn't played in well over a year. He's always hurt. So it's I don't think the days are really around anymore where he's going to go for 130 yards and 3 touchdowns. I mean, I think my only concern with this game is, number one, yeah, it should be a shootout or whatever, but, it's divisional games. Those can be weird. And I think my biggest concern, honestly, is the fact that on the Tampa Bay side of the ball, at least, I mean, Michael Thomas is always locked in for 1,000 targets, but Tampa Bay just has so many guys. I don't know who the ball is going to go to. I mean, obviously, you would assume Brady's going to target Evans and Godwin, but I mean, Gronk might not play all the snaps. You have O.J. Howard still there. Cameron Brate could lead something. And then you have all these running backs who it's I don't even know who the ball is even going to. So while I think people are idiots who say Brady's washed, that's hilarious to me. I just don't know if you can lock in, one or two guys he's going to be fixated on. I think it's much more predictable on the Saints side of the ball is just, stacking Breeze, Kamara, Michael Thomas, and just kind of moving on from there. But I agree. I mean, this might end up being a great real life game, but it's going to be tough to have one or two guys on each side of the ball and you know for sure in spots.
Yeah, so it seems great to stack the Saints until Taysom Hill comes in at the 10-yard line and takes all of Drew Brees' touchdowns, you know? Oh, man, there's nothing more tilting than when that guy comes on the field, I swear. That's like a bottom five feeling watching a Saints game is when that guy comes in.
On the one, Kamara's in the game, and then Taysom
Yeah,
Hill
it's
just
it's Taysom Hill, man. It's so tilting. But, yeah, it's a good game. Thomas is playable in all formats, obviously. Same with Michael Thomas or Alvin Kamara. I think both are fine. I don't want to touch the running game for Tampa Bay, similar to what you said, Bales. I just don't really know. Fournette just hasn't been there long enough for me to have any confidence in him.
I mean, what? So they have what? Fournette, Ronald Jones, McCoy. Do they have someone else too? Like, who are they? Like, how do you even know who's going to get the ball? Like, I don't even know.
Yeah, you really don't.
Yeah, Bond's there too.
That's right.
Yeah, so it's just a murky situation.
Either way, I mean, last year I think a lot was talked about how, I mean, the Tampa Bay corners are just so bad and they just get torched by everyone. But their running D last year was really, really solid. I don't pay attention as much to like a lot of these roster moves, things like that. I mean, do you envision the Tampa Bay running D being about, pretty solid like last year? Or do you think they've kind of, because I mean, again, Kamara, maybe not matchup proof, but I mean, he's pretty damn good. So maybe that's not as important here, but I'm curious because last year, I mean, Tampa Bay just shut people down on the ground. You just basically roasted them through the air.
Go ahead, Bills, if you have something to say.
Yeah, sorry. I think their defense is going to be really good. I think it's going to be tough to replicate what they did last year. That was pretty crazy. But I think their run D will be absolutely fine this year. The big thing with a guy like Kamara, who cares, honestly? Like, they could just throw him the ball 10 times, and it wouldn't even matter if he has 50 yards on the ground. Like,
exactly.
I think if, like, Kamara was out and you're looking at, like, Latavius Murray and just him, I wouldn't really like it because of the matchup. But with a guy like Kamara, you have, like, McCaffrey, that they can just catch 10 balls any week. The offense is going to plan around them anyway, so I don't think whatever doesn't work, they're just going to do something else.
Yeah, both Thomas and Kamara crushed against the Bucs last year. I do think their defense will play a similar style, but I think both of these defenses are going to be pretty good this season. I pointed out on the cash process, Kamara averaged just under 9 targets per game against Tampa Bay in their 2 games last year. So they're going to throw him the ball, which is especially valuable on DraftKings. So I like Kamara more on DK than I do FanDuel this week. I would rather play Thomas, who's 8,800 on FanDuel. I'd rather just go to him if you're going to get some exposure there. The interesting thing is here, so if Evans is out, I would expect Lattimore to be on Godwin. Where would you rank, would you put Godwin ahead of Devontae Adams? Because I think I would still have Devontae ahead of him, even if Evans is out.
Adams for me. It just, that more or less moves Godwin into, basically the role that Adams is going to have.
Yeah, exactly.
And
he has
Adams
a better matchup.
Isn't dealing with, yeah.
If Evans is out, Bales, do you think Lattimore will just shadow Godwin? Even if he goes to the slot and everything?
I would expect him to. Lattimore has done a lot of shadowing. I think he could shadow him anyway, honestly. I haven't looked too much into it, but I know that Lattimore has done a lot of shadowing in his career, so it wouldn't really be overly shocking if they just pick either Godwin or Evans and Lattimore just sticks with one of them.
He's normally on Evans. Him and Evans kind of go back and forth.
Well, yeah, because Godwin, plays in the slot a lot. I don't know if Lattimore follows him in the slot as much.
He's gone into the slot. If they move, if he's shadowing someone and they move him to the slot, he will go into the slot and shadow him. But it's normally him versus Evans. It's a pretty big sample of that.
Yeah.
Both games last year, he was on Evans. So we'll just have to wait and see. The interesting thing is, though, which I pointed out to Bales earlier today, they moved the inactive deadline to 90 minutes before kickoff, I'm pretty sure. So we're going to have no idea if Mike Evans is playing. This game's at 4:25. We're not going to know until well after, the game start. Unless they, I don't know. We might get that Schefter bomb, late Saturday night. But I would guess if it's a true game time decision, we're probably not going to know until Sunday afternoon. So late swapping could be interesting. Can I interest you guys in some Scotty Miller before we move on? Or maybe a little Justin Watson?
You absolutely cannot.
You can 100% interest me in some Scotty Miller. Justin Watson, you know what? I'm not overly interested in it. I don't hate him. I don't hate him as much as some people will. But if you're telling me Mike Evans is out, Scotty Miller 4K is not the worst play on the slate.
I feel like he should probably be like 35, though, don't you think?
Yeah, dude, doesn't 4,000 seem expensive for a guy?
That's $200 less than Bryan Edwards.
He's
Ben, by the way,
he slides into the slot role.
Ben like weirdly keeps talking up these Raiders guys.
We'll get to that game.
Not weird.
We'll get to that game.
Genius, and we're gonna.
All right, we'll move to the next.
He's moving into the slot role though.
Yeah, he's gonna play in the slot. 100%.
Who has Brady made in his career? Wes Welker. He's made Julian Edelman. You throw someone in the slot, and all of a sudden they're a star with Brady. Do we really think that?
Tremendous play on the slate. Lock him in. Probably cash player, honestly. Thanks, Bill.
All right, we'll move to the next game. The Anthony Carson special. Cleveland Browns against the Baltimore Ravens. 48 over/under. This over/under is so big mainly because the Ravens are implied for like all of the points. So yeah, the massive team total, massive favorites in the game. Sam, I'll start with you here. I don't personally have a ton of interest in this game. I think that Lamar is cash playable on DraftKings. I think that Lamar is probably where you're going in cash games on FanDuel. And then I think Hollywood Brown is too cheap on all sites. I think Mark Andrews is a great tournament play. I don't really want a ton of Browns here. I don't have a ton of interest. I think you can maybe use Landry if you want, just because he's not going to be on Marlon Humphrey. But that's really it for me. This is not a super good game outside of some Ravens.
Yeah, I think the one thing I have to mention, if you're not in our Discord, you should come in for takes like this, because Anthony had the audacity to say the other day that Browns +8 was the lock of the century. He said there's never been an easier bet he's ever made. So the Browns might actually lose by 30 points, which is just, they're just, I agree with you, Ben. I don't have a ton of interest. Obviously, it's like we talk about as a lot of guys, like Lamar obviously is playable every single time. I think it's always fascinating that Ingram last year he had this like weird chalk run for like the first half of the season, but he's normally a little bit under-owned because people just assume Lamar runs all their plays. But yeah, I think from the Cleveland side of the ball, I do have a decent amount of interest actually in Landry. I definitely prefer him over OBJ. Landry had 35 red zone targets last year. He is always seems to be the guy that Baker kind of peppers with targets. And it's unfair because OBJ normally gets the best coverage, but I guess you're just basically wondering if Baker's going to be good or if Baker still sucks or if Cleveland, the city, just sucks, which is true. But I don't know. I think the one question I have, and I'm glad that it wasn't brought up now, and I'll turn to Bales after this, is what do you make of Austin Hooper? Is an awesome tight end. I think he's one of the better, I'm not going to say he's like elite, one of the better tight ends. The only thing that worries me is, last year the Ravens had I think the league low, only 52 catches were allowed to tight ends by the Ravens. So I wonder about that. You hear a lot of, hearsay about how Hooper has worked really well with Baker and Camp, but I think the only contrarian thing I would do is honestly play like Baker, Landry, Hooper, Baker, OBJ, Hooper, but I just don't know. The Ravens D is no joke. I just don't know if there's enough there to, warrant playing three guys in the Browns when they could easily get blown out like 40-7. That's my only problem. Also, Cleveland sucks.
Count me out on the Browns. I think we know what the Browns want to do this year. It's no secret. Stefanski's going to walk in there. He's going to run the ball. It's going to happen over and over and over. We also don't know who's getting those touches. Kareem Hunt just signed a solid deal. We know most likely it's Nick Chubb. Then Kareem Hunt probably plays the passing downs, but I don't know if I fully buy it. I'm not really going to touch either. I don't want any of Cleveland in this game. If something happens and I have to eat my losses, it is what it is, but I will avoid them. I'll more or less reiterate Ben, Lamar Jackson, and Brown, fine for cash. Mark Andrews, very solid for tournaments, and I will add in Mark Ingram. I really, really like Ingram just because they're going to be up, most likely. Probably be giving him some carries late in the game to really get up there. The big thing is he's going to need a score if he wants to reach his ceiling, obviously. And he does get quite a few red zone carries. The Browns brought in Andrew Billings to really help out their run D. That was like one of their bigger moves, and he opted out of the season. So the Browns, who gave up, I think it was, I don't have the numbers right now, but I think over 140 rushing yards a game last year.
Yeah,
their defense isn't going to get better against the run, in my opinion. So I'll take a shot on Mark Ingram. He's just way too cheap. And I know he doesn't catch a ton of balls, but he can get a couple. And I think he had like 3 receiving touchdowns last year. So it's not like he can't get in. Not to mention, I'll say this 100 times before this podcast is over. We shouldn't be trusting these rookies early in the season. Like Dobbins, I love Dobbins. I think he's going to be elite with Baltimore. It's just a great fit. I can tell you he's not coming in and taking Mark Ingram's touches early in the season. Like it's just not going to happen. Maybe he'll play a little. I have no issues with that. But Mark Ingram's going to get the lion's share, and I'm completely fine with that as a 7.5 point favorite over Cleveland this week.
Yeah, so Cleveland has absolutely no linebackers. Sam, if you want to chuckle after this podcast, go look up who they're starting at linebacker. It's egregious. So I think Mark Andrews is going to feast. He's probably my favorite play from this game outside of Lamar. I want no Mark Ingram. I'm going to disagree with you guys. I think actually Dobbins is going to play. And to that point, if the Ravens are blowing the Browns out, I don't see why they would want to push Mark Ingram in the first game of the year when there's not really been a ton of training camp. I think that would be even more incentive for them to not play him a lot in the second half. So I'm not saying that it's going to be like a 50-50 split or 60-40 split. Like Mark Ingram's going to get the bulk of the carries, but he needs to score, like you said, he needs to score a touchdown to really crush value. He's not going to catch a ton of passes. And I do think that J.K. Dobbins is going to be on the field in this game. I can tell you that. It might not be a ton, but they're going to get him involved. So I just don't want to Ingram, personally.
I agree to an extent, but if they're beating them so bad that they're like pull the guys and put in someone like Dobbins, then I would be willing to bet that Mark Ingram has already done his fair share of damage to that team.
I mean, I'm not saying that they're going to beat him that bad, but
there's such an inherent.
I get what you're saying, but
play Mark Ingram because Lamar rushed. Lamar had 1,200 rushing yards last year. We know he rushes all the time, and he's elite at it. But I think it's like it almost. I mean, again, I wouldn't play Mark Ingram in cash, but I think it's an interesting play because I think he goes under. I mean, I have him. I just ran under stuff. I have Ingram right now like 5 to 7% off. Because, and I get why I have projected like that, but it's like Bales. I mean, like it's not like every goal line carry goes to Lamar, and we know they're going to score. Their team total is almost 29 points. The Browns, they live in Cleveland. They're clearly a joke. So it's like, I mean, like it just the spot I think is so good, and I don't see Dobbins like stealing. Basically, I can see what you're saying about Dobbins, but I don't see Dobbins stealing like goal line carries right now. I guess would be my main point.
No, but I mean, they can easily throw it to Mark Andrews in the red zone just as easily as they could give it to Ingram, or they could, I don't know. I just don't want to Ingram personally. There's too many guys that I would rather play. I get what you guys are saying, but I'm out on Ingram personally. We will move to the next game. This is my favorite game on the main slate. I have been fantasizing about stacking this game since the schedule got released. It is the Oakland Raiders, Carolina Panthers, 47.5 over under. It's wheels up for this game. Bales, I know you're on the same page as me. This is the full game stack spot. I am so ready for this game. I think that Raider stacks are in play. I think Panther stacks are in play. Obviously, McCaffrey, you're playing in cash games. I think you can play him in tournaments as well. There's enough value, even at 10K on DK. I think Josh Jacobs. So Miles Sanders was going to be probably the highest owned running back on the slate yesterday. Now that we got this report, I think a good amount of the Sanders ownership is going to pivot over to Jacobs. He's only a couple hundred more. He's a favorite. Obviously, Theo Riddick was signed and then cut. They traded Lynn Bowden Jr., who was going to play some running back. So it seems like he could maybe catch some more passes than we saw last year. But either way, the times that you want to play Josh Jacobs are in games that they're winning, and they are projected to win this game. And if you guys remember, we were just taking any running backs against the Panthers last year. Like their run defense was so bad, and their defense
averaged they gave up on average 32 DraftKings points to running backs per game last year.
Yep. And like I told you guys before, I mean, they lost Dontari Poe, they lost Eric Reed, they lost Luke Kuechly, they lost James, they lost everybody on defense. And they drafted a bunch of people to replace them, but they're going to have a really young defense, and they're just not going to be good, especially early on in the season. So I love the Raiders side of this game. I'll kind of finish up my thoughts on it after. I'll let you guys talk here because I'm kind of rambling, but this is the game for me. I love both sides of this game.
Agreed. Do they play for either team? Go ahead and use them. That's the way I'm looking at it. No, in all seriousness, either quarterback. I really like Bridgewater.
Thank you.
He was actually he's about an average quarterback, but now he's playing in Joe Brady's offense, and you have McCaffrey out of the backfield. You have DJ Moore, who's a bona fide number one. Robbie Anderson and Curtis Samuel can both take the top off the defense. Ian Thomas is a very good receiving tight end, in my opinion. There's so many weapons there, and I think that everyone that I just said can be considered. I do worry about Robbie Anderson and Curtis Samuel. I don't think both of them go off together. It's just not likely, but both can catch a 70-yard touchdown. It's just the speed's there. On the other side, Ben already talked about Josh Jacobs. It makes a lot of sense. I have no problems with Derek Carr. I know he's extremely high on Bryan Edwards. I really like Edwards. He's got a great body for the NFL. Could end up being more or less their possession receiver. Ruggs is the guy that I'm really interested in, though. Just unbelievable speed. We consistently saw him in college where everyone thinks because he's fast, he's a deep threat. It's not the case. Can he run deep? Absolutely. But he was often taking slants for touchdowns, and just because he was having a 70-yard touchdown doesn't necessarily mean that it was a deep ball. And then, obviously, I have no problems whatsoever with Darren Waller. He's one of the best tight ends in the league, at least receiving-wise. So, basically everyone. I feel like, sorry that we didn't really narrow this pool down, but everyone really can be considered, at least in tournaments.
My thing is, I think it's funny because I think, people kind of forget, like, Teddy came in last year for Breeze, and, like, he did just fine. Like, he was, like, I think the problem is, like, you don't compare him to someone like Lamar or Drew Brees or Tom Brady. But that's wrong. I mean, he's perfectly capable. I think, basically, I think we're going to see probably a ton. I mean, C-Mac might get somehow even more targets. And I think, honestly, I agree with Bales that I think it's a great spot, assuming that they want to throw the ball and not just feed C-Mac 78 touches a game, is for Curtis Samuel. I mean, Robbie Anderson is really, really fast, and I don't know this maybe, and maybe he wasn't asked to do this in New Orleans, but, like, do you see Teddy throwing deep that much? Like, bombs? Like, that's what Robbie Anderson runs his go routes. He can torch almost anything deep. I just don't know if I see that. But I will say, DJ Moore is great. I love him. I think he's a great play on this slate. He has a really good matchup with, I forget his name, but we averaged over 2 yards per run last year. He's really, really good. I mean, I get what you guys saying about the Raiders. I really do. And the Carolina defense is just lacking. But, I mean, do we really trust Derek Carr that much? Genuinely asking. I mean, do you think, number one, do you think the Panthers score enough points that where Carr needs to be throwing the ball 40 times for 300-plus yards and touchdowns? Or do you see this as more of like a game where Gruden, to his own chagrin, tries to somehow manage this game and just keep the ball and keep out of C-Mac's hands and not run out of judgment? I don't really know. But if I were him, I'd probably do the latter and keep out of C-Mac's hands.
Yeah, so, I mean, I think that this game easily goes over 47.5, if we're being honest. I think that that's probably my favorite bet of the weekend is the over in this game. They're going to have to score points because the Raiders are going to score points. Every team is going to score points against this defense. Derek Carr, I don't love Derek Carr. He was an MVP candidate at one point in his career, right? And it wasn't that long ago. Which
seems like
Yeah, it was a while ago, but it's not like he can't do it. And I think that, look, Bales, this time last year, like a week ago last year, the Raiders were all in game planning their entire offense around Antonio Brown. They drafted Henry Ruggs as the first receiver off the board in a historically good wide receiver class. So you and I both think that Henry Ruggs is going to get peppered with targets. I do like Bryan Edwards at his price. I think he's too cheap, and I thought he was going to be chalk when people found out he was going to start at X, but it doesn't look like he's going to have much ownership at all. So I think he's a good play, but Henry Ruggs is such a good play, especially because I think the offenses are going to have an advantage early on in the season. The tackling's probably going to be pretty bad because these guys haven't been able to hit at practice, and Henry Ruggs can easily take a touchdown in his first NFL game. So I really like that. DJ Moore I love as well. 9th in receiving yards last year with Kyle Allen at quarterback, which, well, he did get some Will Grier in there if you want to give him some credit. But the reason I like all these Panthers guys, Robbie Anderson I think is interesting. We loved targeting big play receivers against the Raiders last year. They gave up a ton of splash plays, and their solution to that was drafting Damon Arnett in the first round, who ran over a 4.5 40, right? Not a fast guy. So they're going to get burnt by fast guys again. All of DJ Moore, Curtis Samuel, Robbie Anderson, these are all fast receivers. My pick would be Moore just because I don't think, I like DJ Moore more than anyone, and I don't think he's going to be high owned on the slate. So I'm definitely, one of my main tournament lineups is going to be a stack in this game for sure.
Without question. There's no way I go into Sunday not stacking this game. It's not going to happen.
Yep, I agree. The last game we're going to talk about before we head to some plays that we like is the Arizona Cardinals and the San Francisco 49ers, 48.5 over-under. I think this is the second afternoon game we've talked about because we talked about Tampa Bay, but this is another game I really like in tournaments. Sam, I'll let you start here, but I definitely have some takes in this game. I think this is a really good game for GPPs.
Really? I mean, I get it, and I think Kyler is going to have a great year, but I think it's I get they have Hopkins now, and he just signed that tremendous contract, but I mean, I think my only issue is and I just tell me if I'm wrong. I mean, has the San Francisco defense taken any steps back? I mean, they're still so strong. So it's I get why people I like Kyler. Obviously, Hopkins is pretty much matchup proof. Who's ever on him, it doesn't really matter. I hope it's Richard Sherman because he's washed. But basically, it's I don't know. I mean, San Francisco. I mean, are they really gonna put up 50 points? I don't really think so. I like this game, but my only issue, and I think the only plays in this game I honestly am probably going to use is Kittle, and I mean, I don't know. I guess who's healthy for the 49ers right now, wide receiver wise? Is Debo fine?
Yeah, so that's actually a good point. I kind of forgot to mention that.
No, I wasn't meaning to roast you for not saying the injuries. I'm actually wondering because Debo I love, but if he's not healthy, I don't know if I have a ton of interest in that receiver.
Yeah, so we don't know if Brandon Ayuk, who they drafted, or Debo are going to play in this game. If neither of them play, if they're both out, it's probably going to be obviously a ton of Kittle, but you've got Kendrick Bourne. You'll probably get some Trent Taylor in the slot. I don't know.
Is this Dante Pettis? Are we doing this?
Yeah,
is this happening,
I actually saw that one of their beats said that if they both were out, Dante Pettis would start opposite Bourne with Trent Taylor in the slot. So that could happen. Obviously, it's a bump to Kittle, but Bales, I know I think you agree with me on this. It's really hard to carry over elite defensive production from year to year on a team basis.
Yep.
We've seen the Jaguars. I mean, they fell off hard after that big year. The Bears fell off pretty hard even last season. So I'm not saying that the 49ers defense is going to be bad, but I don't think they're going to be as dominant as they were last year. They did lose some guys on defense. They obviously traded DeForest Buckner to the Colts. So I think Kyler is such a good play that's going to be 4 to 5% owned. He had 2 23-plus DraftKings points games against this defense last season when they were better than I anticipate them being this season. He can add value with his legs. I think just his second year, he's going to take that second-year leap. Hopkins helps, but I'm actually off Hopkins just because he didn't get to practice with Kyler a ton. So if I was going to stack Kyler with someone, it would be... It's Christian. It's Christian Kirk. It's Christian Kirk's season. That is who I'm stacking Kyler with in tournaments for sure. And then you run it back with George Kittle. It's such an easy stack.
Listen, I don't know why everyone is like so scared to talk about their running backs in this game. I get it. I get it. Don't get me wrong.
Dude, I can't play most there, dude.
Okay, first off, I don't hate him. He comes with such upside. I don't love him. I don't think he's great. I'm probably not going to play him.
Does he come with upside, or does Kyle Shanahan's run game offense come with upside? Because I think it's the second one.
See, I think it's the second one, but he's in it, my friend.
Yeah,
so
that is true. That is true.
Does Teddy Bridgewater come with upside, or does Joe Brady's passing scheme come with upside?
I think it's both.
It doesn't matter.
People hate on Teddy. He's never been asked to throw the ball deep. Drew Brees' yards per attempt is never high, right? That offense doesn't require you to throw the ball deep. So I think Teddy can throw it deep. I just don't think he's never really had to.
No, I get you. I'm just saying, if the player's in the system, I don't really honestly care who's worth it. But I'm talking Kenyon Drake. I mean, they unleashed him at the end of the season, and he dropped 35 plus fantasy points in 2 of his last 3. Like, it just depends how much they want to unleash him. He did relatively fine without scoring against San Francisco last year, and I guess that was the second game at San Fran. In his first game, he dropped 110 and a touchdown on the ground against them. If they decide to unleash Drake, he's going to have some massive games, and he's not really priced up for it at the moment. He's only 6,400, which kind of up, but not for his upside really. I don't love it, but like we said, it's really going to be difficult for them to be as elite of a defense as they were last year, and I'm not really using Drake outside of like more or less a GPP dart, but I do think he's going to go extremely low owned, and I think he has more or less as much upside as anyone not really named Christian McCaffrey this week.
Sam?
Yeah, I mean, basically, what do you foresee? Bales, honestly, do you foresee like a shootout, or do you just kind of, do you perceive more of like you get 1 or 2 guys who can have these big games in good matchups? Because that's what I'm trying to figure out. It's like I just don't know. Like, I would never target Jimmy G in a shootout per se. I mean, I know he's.
I would. Yeah, I'll never target Jimmy G. Just no. That's the end of that statement.
Jimmy G also had 2 really good games against this defense last year, and if that defense isn't as good, I do think that he'll be required to throw the ball more. We kind of saw Matt Ryan took a big step forward in his second full year under Kyle Shanahan. This is technically Jimmy G's second full year under Kyle Shanahan because he was injured. I don't mind Jimmy Garoppolo at his price on DK. I don't mind that at all.
I guess mine is just all relative. It's just more like, why would I need to look up. I guess why would I play Jimmy G when I can just play, Gardner Minshew?
Oh my God! I like Gardner Minshew, but
I don't know. I would have went with Teddy Bridgewater.
What are we doing here? Yeah. The confidence. Sam just said that way.
I'm not going to play Minshew, but I'm just saying, why would I just would rather.
You can't say that confidently and not play Gardner Minshew now. Now you're tied to him. You need to play at least one lineup.
Entirely this week.
Gardner Minshew is not that bad.
No, I think he's good. It's just you had so much conviction with that call. You better throw him in at least a tournament lineup.
I bet we'll podcast bet. I bet you Gardner Minshew outscores Jimmy Garoppolo.
Okay, what? All right, we'll decide some stakes after this. I'll take that bet.
Because that's a good bet for you because the Colts defense is so much better.
I'll take that bet.
Like it.
All right.
Keep the bets going on here.
Yeah, Bales and I have a Devin Singletary bet from the Bold Calls podcast. But all right, that does it for the games that we're going to talk about. We're going to move into the positional plays now. So we're going to talk about cash game plays and then tournament plays. Starting with cash quarterbacks. For me, I think, like I said, it's Lamar on FanDuel. DraftKings, I think you can use Lamar or Cam Newton, who is way underpriced against Miami. I think Cam's going to have a big year. I think that they're going to tailor the offense to him really well. Tom Brady was the master of close rushing touchdowns in New England. So what in the heck are they going to do with Cam Newton? Cam Newton's going to punch it in if they get close on Sunday. You know he is. So I really like him at his price. Bales, I'll head to you now.
Yeah, I think you're right. I think there's a lot of really solid options realistically. Like, if you want to take your shot on Carson Wentz at only 63, I don't think it's that bad. I don't necessarily know if I'm going to, just because I question Philly's offensive line versus Washington's defensive line, but we know that Wentz can scramble and he comes with a lot of upside. If I'm just looking at it, though, I mean, Teddy Bridgewater is going to be low owned. That's a guy that I'm really interested in. And on the other side of that, I hate to just talk about what we've already said, but Derek Carr is also under 6K. It's going to be really, really hard for me to get off either of those two. Although no issues with Russell Wilson if I see that he's more or less going to go under-owned, and the same with Matt Ryan.
Yeah, cash for me is Russ, Matt Ryan, or
Wait,
are we talking cat? Oh, sorry, I was moving GPP. That's my bad.
No, yeah.
I'm saying my GPP quarterbacks, it's got to be Staff infection, dude. We're back. Staff is back. Lions might win a couple games this year. I mean,
I like it.
We'll just stay out of the way and just let him feed Galladay for days. Maybe we have some going. But I don't know. I mean, I think, Staff is going to go under-owned because he's always hurt. Now he's not. Galladay's a freak. Marvin Jones randomly has spike games. Hawkinson is a stud. I don't know why Bales doesn't believe me, but Hawkinson's a stud.
I like Hawkinson a lot. I love that guy.
Good. Should.
Yeah, for tournaments for me at QB, you guys are going to hate this, what I'm about to say. You're not going to like it.
I know who you're going.
No, you don't, because it's not who you thought I was going to go. Dwayne Haskins is...
That's who I was thinking.
Oh, okay. All right. Yeah. I thought you...
He's not...
Look,
I like it.
This is such a good play. I'm a huge Dwayne Haskins fan. Bales, my real life friends know I've loved Dwayne Haskins since he was in high school. I was incredibly happy when he committed to Ohio State, which obviously being from Ohio is a big deal here. But dude, this offense is going to be so much better. I'm all in on Scott Turner calling plays here for the Redskins. I think they're going to play a little bit faster than they did last year. I think he's going to take that second year jump, but the Eagles are a team we've targeted through the air for years. Yes, they brought in Darius Slay, but Bales, you and I both think that Darius Slay is kind of washed at this point. I'm not really scared of it. And I talked about this on the cash process. The week one is the best time to be contrarian because we know nothing about these teams, and people are just going off of what last year, but so much changes from year to year. So I like Haskins in tournaments. I don't mind Joe Burrow. Sam, are you on Joe Burrow? Because I actually think Joe Burrow is an interesting play as well.
I think Joe Burrow to Tyler Boyd for days is going to be GOAT. I'll be right back, guys. Got to take a pee in the middle of the podcast.
Bro, this is the first time. This has never happened. I've never.
We're not even 15 minutes in.
This guy can't make it through. He can't make it through a podcast right now. I've never seen something like this.
I want to just make a quick point out here that. Wait a minute. Let me quick find them. I'm pretty sure Gardner Minshew, Jimmy Garoppolo, and Joe Burrow are all the same price. He went with Gardner Minshew when he just said all in on Burrow. He could have just said Burrow.
Yeah, he could have offered me Burrow at that price. I agree with that. I think Burrow's interesting. I think Trubisky's honestly interesting as well. Some of these cheap guys, like, I don't know. I see Tyrod's getting projected for some ownership. I would play Trubisky, Dwayne Haskins, Joe Burrow. I'd play all those guys over Tyrod personally.
I think if you're talking, like, if you're like getting weird and going cash, I would play Tyrod just because his floor is higher from the rushing. But I don't hate Trubisky in terms of fantasy. Like, is he a good real life quarterback? No, but has he shown that he can really dominate in terms of fantasy? Absolutely. And I expect Anthony Miller to take a big step forward. So it's not like he's a bad play, especially for his price. Like, I don't know. I'm cool with it.
Yep. Let's move to running back. So for cash games, I think you have McCaffrey obviously is going in both of my lineups. First player I'm putting in. So you had this I still think Miles Sanders is 100% playable in cash games, but I think that most people will end up moving off him. On DraftKings specifically for Josh Jacobs, I think that Antonio Gibson is going to be chalky and probably someone that I'm just going to play. I don't really care. Like, if he's chalk and at 4K and scores a touchdown, like, you're just going to be so far behind. And I do think, like I said, I think this Washington offense is going to be better. I think that he's going to catch passes. So I like Antonio Gibson a lot at 4K. I do think for cash games he's fine. Tournaments, you don't have to play him. Other cash game running backs, is there anyone else you guys like for cash at running back other than those three, or other than those four if you include Sanders? Because I think like Mixon could mix in. I don't mind him.
Austin Eckler, I love in cash.
Okay. What about you, Bills?
Austin Eckler is just like the best running back.
I'm a big Eckler guy, but I'm not sure you can play him in cash. Did you say Josh Jacobs and Alvin Kamara? I think I missed it.
Yeah, I didn't mention Kamara. He's definitely cash playable on DK. FanDuel, I wouldn't play him. DraftKings, he is playable if you want in cash games. FanDuel, so we got this situation. Jonathan Taylor's 5,400 on FanDuel. Look, I'm not going to say to play him in cash, but I do think he's cash playable. This Jags defense is probably going to be the worst defense in the league by a decent margin. Like, they're going to be horrible. I know Bales probably doesn't like me recommending Jonathan Taylor in his first NFL game, but
hey, now if he's cheap enough, I don't mind it. He's gonna play. Like it is what it is. But
tournaments, I like Marlon Mack. I think it's great.
Yeah, I think they're both playable for sure. But I think most people will just assume Mack is going to get the bulk of the work. When I think that, like, if there's any rookie running back that's going to come out, not named Clyde Edwards-Helaire, so if there's any rookie running back on the main slate that's going to come out and get a bunch of work, it's Jonathan Taylor. So, and I just love Jonathan Taylor. Bales knows Jonathan Taylor, I've tied myself to him. If he's not good, my Twitter is going to constantly be on fire for like the next 10 years of my life. But I'm all in on him, and I think that he's good enough to get on the field, and I think he's going to be on the field a lot on Sunday. And so this kind of goes, I was going to mention Phillip Rivers at quarterback. I know you guys aren't going to like dusty Phillip Rivers, but he did have a big game in week 1 last year. He had a 24 DK point game against Jacksonville last season. They have a high team total, dude. They have like the 3rd or 4th highest team total on this entire slate, 27.5 points. This defense is horrible. Dude, he's in play. I'm telling you, Phillip Rivers is in play. The Colts in general Colts are not going to be owned. None of these guys are going to be owned.
I agree. I'll take the running backs. I'm good with it. But stop trying to sell Phillip Rivers. It ain't happening.
So give me. I don't know. I can't make a Phillip Rivers bet actually, but I do think he's in play. I'm going to play Phillip Rivers in some tournaments. I'm not going to lie. I am going to have some Phillip Rivers.
I don't hate it. I have. Go ahead.
Oh, I said Ben will be one of very few.
Yeah. That's fine, baby. I'll be on the island by myself.
Maybe there's a reason for that.
Yeah. I have 2 backs that I like in tournaments tonight. Or not tonight, this weekend. And Ben loves the first one I'm gonna go with, and it's Devin Singletary, baby.
God.
If you watch our bold calls, you know I love him. Ben hates him. I don't even care whether you think Zach Moss takes his job or not. We already know that the coaching staff has said they want Zach Moss to play a Frank Gore role. Do you know what Gore's role was when Singletary was healthy? Non-existent is what it was. Okay, he's going to come in and maybe take a goal line carry. I wasn't thinking I was going to get that anyway because Josh Allen's going to take it in himself, so it doesn't matter. Devin Singletary, fantastic to end the season. He caught 6 passes, had 7 targets in their playoff game, so we know that they have no problems involving him in the passing game. And they're going to be ahead, so they're just going to be running the ball. I wholeheartedly do not believe that these rookie running backs on short camps are going to come in, learn the playbooks well enough to go out there and take big snaps in the first week. It's just not going to happen. So you have a guy like Singletary who's way too cheap at 5,400 in a good matchup against the Jets, who people see as a really good run defense because of last year when they lost plenty of defenders that added to that production in a game where they're probably going to be running the ball late. I'm not saying that Singletary comes out here and he's the most dominant running back in the world. He was 3rd, I believe, out of running backs with 5.1 yards per carry last year. It was tied with Derrick Henry. We all know how good Derrick Henry is.
Are we citing yards per carry on this podcast, Sam? Is this what we're doing?
That's pretty
I don't even care about it, but over 5. It just shows you
what is he good at other than fumbling the football? I mean, is he good at something?
What is he? Yeah, he's good at running.
I don't think he's good at running.
We're not talking about.
Well, it sucks that you're gonna have to watch him for 10 years. Just run down
10 years, a decade of Singletary. Okay.
Listen, I'll move on. Get Singletary in your lineup. I'm telling you.
Because the tournament pivot, well-owned leverage, DK Billy Maker winning running back is Tariq Cohen.
Oh God. Yeah, I think
I'm not even.
This is contingent on if David Montgomery plays. I do think Tariq Cohen's in play. He's really cheap.
Really, Montgomery's not play. I mean, I will play Tariq Cohen. I will get burned again.
I think
I'll go back to
Cohen is cash playable. I think Cohen's cash playable at his price. I probably won't go that route, but I do think he's playable.
Where's any of the upside with him? What was his best game last year? Like not even 20 fantasy.
Okay, so look,
Montgomery's out. He averages like 6 to 8 targets.
Tariq Cohen is actually the one thing Tariq Cohen is good at is catching the football. Devin Singletary is not good at just because he catches the football doesn't mean he's good at it. Tariq Cohen is actually good at catching the football.
Okay, but one of them can do something with the ball then.
Yeah, Tariq
Devin Singletary fumbles it.
Listen, you guys are going to be so mad when Tariq Cohen catches 9 passes for a cool 14 yards and scores barely anything.
Tremendous value.
That's great value. It is.
You think
almost 3
10.4 is good value at 4.9 when Singletary scores at minimum 36.
Bro, if Devin Singletary has a good game, I will admit that I was wrong on him on this specific slate, but I despise Devin Singletary.
I'll give you guys the real back that can win the millie. He's 4K and only going overlooked because Gibson's going to get all of the ownership of that cheap, and it's Chris Thompson.
No. I have gone down
literally, there is no chance that I play any Jacksonville Jaguar that's not named DJ Chark or Laviska Shenault on Sunday. That is the only two.
I have gone down.
We've seen Thompson do it 100 times. He'll just catch a ton of balls. They're gonna get destroyed. He already
doing this, dude.
This is you guys.
Warning you, I've gone down the Chris Thompson route before. It's a lonely road.
There's no.
I've gone down it too, and it's filled with money. It's filled with $1 million.
It's filled with money with Chris Thompson.
I've never gone that. I've never witnessed the route that has money in it. I've never seen it. Ben, we got to move to wide receivers. It's Chris Thompson.
Yeah, we're approaching the hour mark, so we're gonna be over our intended time here. So we will move the receivers. For cash, I think Thomas, obviously, both sites is completely playable. Devontae Adams is the one that sticks out for me. Really strong history against Minnesota's secondary. Obviously, they lost Xavier Rhodes and a couple other guys heading into this season. They're kind of reworking their defense, and I think that, other than Devontae Adams, who do they really have to throw to except for my guy Bob Tonyan? Alan Lazard is, Lazard's decent, but Devontae Adams is going to eat targets in this game, and I think that he's going to end up pretty chalky on DK. I was going to say Deshaun Jackson here, but we got this situation where Jalen Reagor practiced today. If he ends up playing, that's going to take Djax off of my cash game pool. I think Hollywood Brown's going to be pretty chalky on both sites at his price. And then Henry Ruggs, I think, is honestly cash playable. Wales. I might take the low-owned route and just shove him in my cash lineup instead of Hollywood Brown. I think he's playable. Terry McLaurin also is another guy that I think is going to get a decent amount of ownership.
Yeah.
I have the highest guys. I have the highest projected wide receiver an hour. Yeah. Marquise Brown, Deshaun Jackson, DK Metcalf, and cash.
Metcalf's another one I forgot to mention.
Ridley. Those are guys.
Yep.
We all know the obvious play is Julian Edelman. Bales already brought it up.
Oh my God. Yeah, just play Singletary and Julian Edelman. Go ahead. Go do it.
Don't do that because you're going to ruin your lineup with Edelman.
Newton to Edelman, that might get you like 58 points right there. Maybe 58. That's a real possibility.
All right, tournament wide receiver. Bales, give me yours.
Yeah, DJ Moore, I think he's gone way overlooked, and Henry Ruggs are the two that I really, really like. I think you can take your shot on other guys like Kenny Golladay. He'll get some ownership, but I don't really mind him whatsoever. I think he's kind of matchup proof, honestly. He's going to get a ton of red zone targets, and the Lions are going to be scoring, truthfully. Besides that, I kind of honestly like the Christian Kirk call. I feel like he's just in a really good spot, and for only 5,000, I don't mind it whatsoever.
Yep, Sam?
My two favorite, and this is assuming that he's not covered by Hayward or Desmond King, but I really like Tyler Boyd. I mean, I guess we'll see what Burrow has. A ton of risk there. I totally get it. Tyler Boyd I like a lot. And then my other one would be, who was I just looking at? I don't know. I mean, it's risky because their defense is good, but I mean, DJ Chark is going to be like not owned, and he's so good. And like I said, Minshew's like very passable.
DJ Chark had a massive week 1 last year. If you guys forget that.
I mean, I think DJ Chark has a really high ceiling. I think he has a very low floor, but in tournaments, obviously you want the ceiling outcome. So.
Yeah, for tournaments, for me, give me some Julio, give me some rookies, Laviska Shenault and Brian Edwards, and Allen Robinson. I think is a great play as well. I really want to get some Allen Robinson. I might play him in cash on FanDuel just to get some exposure to him because I really like him.
Then I literally purposely left you the tournament play, and you didn't even take it, and that's Paris Campbell.
Yeah, dude. Oh man, I was talking to Bales. Yeah, Paris Campbell he's not a rookie, but he kind of qualifies as that because he really didn't get to play last year because of injury. But no, Phillip Rivers is going to pound the short intermediate areas of the field, and I think that sets up perfectly for Paris Campbell. I do like him at his price, man. I really do.
I like it. I actually think that Paris Campbell's really good.
Yeah, he's definitely good in real life. So we'll finish up with tight end here. I think in cash games you're spending down. I think that Chris Herndon, Jack Doyle, Hayden Hurst, I think all those guys are going to get ownership. The guy that I've come on to is my man Logan Thomas from the Washington Redskins. I talked about how I like their offense a little bit more this year. He's only $2,800 on DraftKings, and look, I know Thanksgiving is only a 3-game slate, but this is coming from the guy that played Jesper Horsted in cash games at tight end. I will play literally anybody at tight end. I could care less if he's that cheap. Logan Thomas is extremely athletic. I guess, we haven't been able to see these teams play, so all we have to go off is what the beats say, and the beats say that he has a pretty good rapport with Dwayne Haskins. So I think at $2,800, he is cash game playable for me.
And I'm shooting some Irv Smith Jr. at 3,100.
Yeah, that's the other one I was going to talk about for tournaments. I know Bales likes him as well. His snap rate was rising as the year closed, and with Diggs gone, they have Justin Jefferson was apparently unable to beat out Olabisi Johnson for the second wide receiver job. So who do they really have to throw to that's not named Adam Thielen, right? They have the tight ends. So I think Irv Smith's a great play in tournaments.
Let's add Adam Thielen to the GPP pool. That was my bad. I love him.
Yeah, he's fine in tournaments. Honestly, FanDuel, he's 6,800. He could get some ownership in cash there.
I think you missed the obvious cash option as of right now, most likely a tight end. And don't you think that's going to be Chris Herndon?
He said he
33. What?
That was the first guy Ben said.
Yeah, I mentioned him. I think he's he's good. Yeah, he's going to be popular. My problem is just, do I really want to go out of my way to take a Jets player against the Bills? It's such a tough matchup,
Yeah.
So
obviously Hayden Hurst, 4,300 done. Signed, sealed, delivered.
Yeah, I'm actually worried. If Hurst is chalky, I am kind of worried about not having him because he could totally troll with a couple touchdowns.
Yeah, I agree. I also like Ian Thomas. We talked about him before. And, dude, 2,500 Robert Tonyan. If he's the Packers, it's not like they have a ton behind Adams where he can't just grab a touchdown. And he's 2,500 right now.
Bob Tonyan, baby. Dude, preseason legend. Everyone knows. Everyone knows.
Sorry. Hate to interrupt. I forgot that Kittle's facing the funnel defense. Oh my god, I might have to pay up.
Yeah. I was gonna mention the real tournament play. The real tournament play at tight end is George Kittle and Mark Andrews both just spending up.
Arizona averaged giving up 21 points at tight end. That is.
Yeah, and they might have no wide receivers to throw to. It's it's obviously like George Kittle and Mark Andrews are such good plays. We didn't talk about Zach Ertz, who I think is going to be chalky in cash games. I'm not personally playing him, but he's completely fine. He's going to, siphon targets. If Rager's out, that gives him a slight bump, but I think either way, he is cash game playable. I just personally probably won't go there.
Gronk scored 2 touchdowns or 3?
Dude, I don't know. Gronk might not be on the field a ton. Like, I think he's going to get on the field, obviously, but I don't think he's going to dominate the snaps.
Get him on the field for like 25% of the snaps and get like 3 touchdowns.
That would be Gronk trolling.
Yeah, that is true, honestly.
Yeah.
All right, if you guys have made it this far, we do appreciate it. Like I said, be sure to check out dfskarma.com for all of our free content. Pick up a package for our core plays. Before we head out, I'm going to get a bold call from each of Sam and Bales, and then I'll give one and we will head out. Sam, give me your bold call for the Week 1 NFL DFS Main Slate.
There is no Saints or Bucks on the Millie Maker winning lineup.
All right, I actually like that. I like that a lot. I think that's a pretty good take.
That's not bad.
13 to 10.
13 to 10. Okay, now we're pushing it. I was with you. I was with you there for a minute, and then you lost me. But Bales, give me yours.
Yeah, I tweeted mine out the other day, and I'm going to stick with it because Devin Singletary, 120 and 2. That's total yards. That's not on the ground only. 120 and 2. You guys are going to see when he does it.
Part of the free projections we give at DFS Karma, check us out. I'm doing all of our stuff this year, including ceiling and floor. My ceiling projection for Singletary is so much lower than in Bales' imagination.
The ceiling is infinity in Bales' head.
Yeah, like
what's your ceiling?
Singletary could actually score 50 fantasy points.
Yeah, obviously he's not dropping 50.
I have his ceiling at more like 25 to 27.
Yeah, that's very reasonable. Are you acting like that's not good? He's 5,400 or.
The Jets last year only gave up about 21 to 23 points to running backs.
Yeah, that's fine. They got absolutely decimated on their defense this year too. Their top 2 tacklers are gone. I have literally no issues whatsoever. The Jets' run defense last year was absolutely phenomenal. It was probably the second best in the entire NFL behind Tampa Bay. It's going to drop off major this year.
Devin Singletary score over under 13.5 DraftKings points.
I think that's a pretty good projection. I don't know. I think it's probably around there. I'll take the under just because I hate him. So
I have it projected right now for 14.2, so I'll take under 13.5 as well.
Yeah, I'll agree. This is going to be quite. This is going to be
projection. You're acting like he's terrible, and that's just a normal projection.
Yeah, no. That's fine. That's probably about what I would expect him to score, anyways. But my bold call will be. Oh man, I'm gonna go Bryan Edwards and Henry Ruggs both go over 100 yards in their first NFL games. That's gonna be mine.
Oh, I like that one. That's good.
Sam's tilted. Sam hates the Raiders, so Sam's.
It'd be one thing if there's a competent quarterback throwing to him, but there we have the problem.
Hey, dude, the Panthers secondary so bad that they were starting Eli Apple and they just had to he's on injured reserve now. So they're so bad they can't even start Eli Apple anymore. Like that's how bad they are.
We'll say when you're not starting, when Eli Apple is your best option, he's out. You got some problems.
Yeah, it's egregious. But thank you guys so much for watching. We will be back. The next time I'll see you guys Sunday morning, 11 a.m. Be sure to tune in. Anthony and I will be on. Sam as well, I think. I don't know. We'll figure that out later. But we'll be answering all your questions for 45 minutes to an hour at 11 a.m. on Sunday. And with that being said, good luck to everyone week 1. Hopefully some viewers of this take some tournaments down or at least hit their cash games. And with that being said, if you need anything, we will be in Discord. And we'll see you guys on Sunday morning.